You win 3 of those games, you're in great position going into the Devils game against the 28th and the Wild on the 29th. Welcome back to another episode of the Check It From Behind podcast. I'm your host, Zach. There's still no Preston, so it's just me going on again today. There's a ton to talk about. First off, I got my buddy, instead of Preston, I got my buddy here. I got my coffee, my electrolytes, and it's my birthday, so we're feeling great. The vibes are high right now, even though it's just myself, and the NHL season is now in full swing as it has been for the last little while, and I have been loving watching the hockey, but we have a lot to talk about in today's episode. The NHL is absolutely buzzing this week. We have Simone Nemec and Shane Pinto and Scott Wedgewood all getting their own contract extensions from their current teams. Brad Marchand hits the legendary 1,000-point mark that doesn't get hit by a ton of NHL players at all in their careers. And while these contenders are locking up their core players, you have my Buffalo Sabres that seem to be spiraling in a complete circle and disaster, and they seem to have no direction anymore. So we'll leave them to last because I have a ton to say about the Buffalo Sabres. However, though, let's break everything down. How about Brad Marchand scoring his 1,000th career point on Thursday night? He has been one of the most consistent players in the league since 2010. And right now he also leads the Panthers in points with 21 points in 17 games. It doesn't seem like he's slowing down. He just hit the 1,100 point mark. The 1,100th game mark. Game 82 or whatever it was last season with the Panthers. He's close to 500 goals, not quite, 436 goals. He is 35 assists away from 600. There is a world where, because he ended up signing like a 6-year contract, he's already 37 years old. That expires when he's 42, 43 years old. There is a world where he does get to 1,100 points. And I know for a fact there is a world where this dude is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He has multiple Stanley Cups, multiple appearances. What are his awards looking like? Oh, his career this season he's a -4. His entire career is a +281, which is crazy. He doesn't have any individual accolades. He just has a couple Stanley Cups from when he played with the Bruins in 2010-11 against Vancouver. And then 24-25 last season with, of course, the Florida Panthers when he gets traded at the deadline. Obviously, he's going to be recognized as a Boston Bruin. He is one of the better Boston Bruins to ever play for that franchise, even though I know there are a lot of greats that play for the Boston Bruins. And if you guys want to hear more about the Boston Bruins, I suggest you go watch my last episode because the Boston Bruins are atop the Atlantic Division right now, and they are absolutely buzzing still. But yeah, Brad Marchand, man. His antics on the ice, like licking people, just trying to get into people's heads. He's been doing that his entire career. That's kind of how he made his living, with also being able to produce offensively. He had 100 points in 2018-19. He had 87 in 2019-20. In 2017-18, he had 85. And the year before that, 16-17, he had 85. The record-breaking season, he had 67 points in 73 games. He was a +27. He's been a consistently very, very good player. And it goes more besides points, too. You can call him an elite player for a lot of his career. Because, again, like I said, it goes more than just points. It's off-ice leadership, on-ice leadership, on the bench, his antics, his defensive play, his feistiness, his competitiveness. He's one of the most competitive players in the NHL still remaining at the moment. Very competitive player. Not saying that everybody else in the league isn't competitive because they're in the NHL for a reason, but he has this competitive fire to him and this drive, and that's also why, a lot of people admire him on the ice, and I kind of don't like him on the ice, but he does his job. And then off the ice, one of the best human beings that somebody could be. He's in the community like a lot of players in the league are. He's a great player. He loves the fans. On the ice, I don't really necessarily think he's the greatest player on the ice, but at the end of the day, you have to respect greatness, and this is what this dude brings. So we have some contract extensions to talk about. We'll start off here with the Scott Wedgewood one because I don't have a ton to say about this. It's just a small one, a $1 by $3.5 million extension with the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche lock up a reliable goaltender too, Mackenzie Blackwood, who missed the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season. And guess who came in? Wedgewood. Wedgewood was one of the better players on their team, and I know they're buzzing a lot, for sure. I'm trying to bring up their stats here, because Wedgewood, he stepped in the role. He played, I think, 10 games. He's played 14 games right now. He's 10-1-2 with the .226 goals against and a .913 save percentage. He has 30 goals against in 14 games played. That's impressive stuff, man. He has come in and he has locked down the crease while Blackwood ended up missing time due to an injury. And the Colorado Avalanche understand that sometimes you have to have a good tandem to go on deep playoff runs and win a Stanley Cup championship. And I know having a Connor Hellebuyck or Shesterkin or Ottinger or Sorokin or any of these other good elite goaltenders, Vasilevsky. I know it's great to have those goaltenders who can come up with big save after big save after big save. And Blackwood does that. He's not obviously in the tier and he's not in that echelon of elite goaltenders, but he's a really good goaltender. And the Avalanche understand that, okay, if Blackwood gets hurt, we can't have some, no offense to a lot of backup goalies in the league, but a bum backup goaltender who is just there to fill up a roster spot. You don't want that. You want a reliable backup goaltender because if Blackwood goes down again, knock on wood, hopefully he doesn't. Hopefully, he stays healthy. Then Wedgewood comes in and he locks down the crease again and he plays really good hockey. And if this happens towards the playoffs, you don't want to sit here and let's say the Avalanche right now, they're on the President's Trophy winning pace. Let's say they win the President's Trophy kind of comfortably and the Blackwood ends up getting hurt. And now let's say it's not Wedgewood. Let's say it's somebody else who comes in and is the backup goaltender, right? Or even, let's do next season because Wedgewood would be the backup either way this season. I know I'm rambling a little bit. Let's say next season Wedgewood is no longer an Avalanche. They just bring in a backup goaltender to fill up a roster spot. The Avalanche are having another really good season, close to President's Trophy, whatever. Blackwood goes down towards the end of the season. You went all that way playing some of the best hockey in the entire league just to be first round exits because your starting goaltender went down on a fluke injury. And now here comes your backup contenders here just to fill a roster spot who played 25 games over the season, who didn't put up great numbers. And you can't go out and trade for a goaltender because it's past the trade deadline and it's like the middle of March, early April. You don't want that to happen, right? So it is a luxury to have two really good goaltenders, and the Avalanche at least locked up Wedgewood, who is on the wrong side of 30, obviously. But being able to have him for at least one more season, I think, is beneficial to this Avalanche team, to the organization. So I think it's a really good deal for both sides. Very low-risk, cost-effective deal for the Avalanche, especially with the salary cap rising. Shane Pinto ended up signing a $4 by $7.5 million contract extension with the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators are betting on Pinto's upside here. And Pinto is having a really good season. With Brady Tkachuk missing time. What was it? The past 3 weeks he's been out so far with this thumb injury that he ended up getting surgery on. Pinto has 15 points in 19 games so far this season. He's been good. He's third on the team in points. By the time this contract expires, he'll be 30 years old. And I love this deal for both sides. If you're the Ottawa Senators, they were coming in at an 8-year deal because you can pay somebody past 30 and they can still be really fucking good at hockey. Okay. We don't need to be scared to give a 25-year-old an 8-year deal and expires when he's 33 or 34. It expires when he's 34 because it wouldn't kick in until next year. Pinto's still a really, really, really good hockey player. I know last season he ended up having 37 points in 70 games, kind of a down season for him. But he also wasn't giving a ton of opportunities. The year before, coming back from a suspension, he had 27 points in 41 games. That's damn near a 60-point pace. And if you're giving somebody $7.5 million, you'll be happy with 60 points out of them now. Because just how the market's going, these players are getting paid even more money. Pinto 3 years ago is getting, let's say, same situation, right? Pinto's 25 3 years ago, and he's putting up the same numbers, etc. He's getting $5 million. He's getting a 5x5, a 4x5. Pinto he's more than just an offensive guy, too. I want to take a look at his evolving hockey numbers, his charts, because I know I should have did some research on him before coming on here. I simply haven't had time to, though, today. I want to see how good defensively he is. Defensively, he's average, 45th percentile. I'd say average between 45th percentile and about 55 to 60 percentile. His even strength offense, though, is through the roof. He is 87th percentile in total offense, 85th overall percentile. His goals above replacement is just below 15. I'd say probably around 14-ish or so. And his expected goals above replacement is just barely above 21. His shorthanded defense is just under 2. His power play offense is kind of what's dragging it down, and his even strength defense is not the greatest. It's just below -3, which is not great. Same thing with his power play offense is at -3, expected goals above replacement. But nevertheless, though, the Ottawa Senators, they have now them and the Devils. We'll get to the Devils here in a second. The Ottawa Senators, they have Tim Stützle locked up at 8.3, Brady Tkachuk at 8.2, Dylan Cousins 7.1, Drake Batherson 4.9, Shane Pinto 3.7. They also ended up signing Ridley Gregg 3.25. They have Jake Sanderson at just above 8. Same thing with Shabbat, he's at 8. Jordan Spence is at 1.5. He's an RFA, arbitration eligible. There we go. At the end of the season, he'll probably end up getting a hefty contract. He's playing phenomenal hockey. And Linus Ullmark at 8.25. He's not off to the greatest start, but he'll bounce back for sure. But he is bouncing back. He's bouncing back over the last few games. They had their core locked up. Everybody is making under $9 million so far. Is there one player Brady Tkachuk is a UFA at the end of the 27-28 season, so in a couple seasons. He'll probably end up getting over 9. Drake Batherson is a UFA at the end of next season. He's not going to end up getting 9. He'll probably be getting around Shane Pinto. I'd assume $6 to $7 million. Probably closer to the $7 million mark. I wouldn't be shocked if it's like 6.75 or something like that. They have everybody locked up, and I love this deal for both sides. Shane Pinto, he got paid. The Ottawa Senators are not spending a ton of cap on him. They're not expending their cap. They're not in cap hell because they gave him a hefty load of money, and it's only for 4 years too. If he just kind of stays stagnant and he's around a 55 to 60 point guy, it's not a bad deal. Now, if you would have given him, I would have given him an 8-year deal, but Shane Pinto didn't seem to want an 8-year deal. Like I said, Elliot Friedman on the 32 Thoughts podcast ended up saying that the Senators wanted to give him an 8-year deal around this money, but he never ended up biting on the bullet. So he just wanted a 4-year deal, and a lot of players are doing this nowadays too, where you see they are wanting to get the 3-year deal, the 4-year deal, because then they know they'll end up getting even more money with the cap exponentially rising at the moment. That's just my take on that. You're seeing it too. Connor McDavid did it, although I think Connor McDavid just wants a cup. Austin Matthews kind of felt like started this a few years ago when he took his 4-year deal. That's going to be up at the end of next season, I believe. And 2 years from now, one of the two. You're seeing a lot of these star players do it. Now, there are some players that are still taking the 7-year deal, the 8-year deal. We saw it with Eichel, Kyle Connor, Kirill Kaprizov. They ended up getting locked up for 8 years. Right, coming up to the season this past September. And October, I guess. We can do October too. So, it's not everybody that's taking these 4-year deals, but a lot of players are, though. And I'm not going to go on a tangent about the salary cap, but it's definitely taken some time to get used to seeing these players that usually wouldn't take a ton of money, or these players taking shorter term deals. It's This $8 million deal 20 years ago would be like damn near a record-breaking contract. And $8 million deal in the NFL is a player who barely made their fucking roster. Same thing in the MLB. Same thing in the NBA. NBA, if you're making $8 million, you're like an eighth man. You're a bench player. It's great to see these NHL players getting paid more. And then Simone Nemec ended up signing a $4.75 million contract extension with the New Jersey Devils. That is the same exact deal. I just realized that. I really hope that's not a typo on my part. I really hope it's not. Where is New Jersey? New Jersey is here. Nope. Oh, it doesn't even have Simone Nemec's contract on cap wages yet. That was like a few days ago, though. Hold on. Hold on. He signed a 3-year. No, that says ELC. Hold on. Am I tripping? I thought he signed a contract extension. Maybe he didn't. He didn't sign an extension. Maybe it was just a hat trick I was talking about, because I know he had a hat trick. I'm really trying. It probably is a typo on my part. Yeah, it is. It is a typo on my part. It is a typo on my part. Wait. We're going to X real quick. I know this is kind of holding up the episode, but I really don't care. Alright, I'm not signing in on here. I'm just going on my phone, I guess. There's somebody probably already in the comments that has corrected me or whatever. I can almost guarantee it. Top. I'm pretty sure he did not sign an extension. It was just a hat trick. Yeah. It was just a hat trick. All right. So sorry about that, guys. It was a typo on my part. I don't know why I had that typed. I don't know why. I'm a fucking idiot. That's what I am. So I want all that. Somebody, probably 6 people, 7 people, 10 people already commented. You didn't sign a contract extension. I swear on everything I saw something on Instagram that was a valid source. And I swear to God, I posted it on my story. Swear to the Lord. Whatever. Either way, he actually did have a hat trick in an overtime win a few nights ago. Simone Nemec has been phenomenal for them. The Devils, I understand they're emerging as a Stanley Cup contender, but they also just lost Jack Hughes for 8 weeks, by the way, of a fluke accident. And what I heard is that he ended up leaning on a glass table or something like that, and he like fell through it, or like he broke it and he cut up his hand, and he had to get surgery on it a couple days ago. Jack Hughes cannot escape this injury god that hates him, apparently. Hates him. He cannot stay healthy no matter what. This is just bad luck for him, too. This isn't, oh, he's fragile, he's this or that. The people that are saying that he's fragile can... I don't know. They need to learn puck. And I understand, okay, he's having another really good season, 20 points in 17 games. He's their most important player, 1,000%. But I just feel for him at this point, man. I just feel for him because if the Devils have him, they're a Stanley Cup contender. They are a Stanley Cup contender with him. They are 13-4-1, 27 points. They've won 2 straight games. They ended up winning their last game without him. And they have 11 regulation and overtime wins, which is close to the top of the league. A 750 points percentage. And this team, okay, I know Jack Hughes is out for 8 weeks, right? And this is much better for him to be out now when they got off to a really hot start than in the middle or the end of the season or going into the playoffs when they kind of need him most. The Devils, when Jack Hughes is not in the lineup, obviously they're a different team. He brings the fast pace. He is so confident with the puck. He's one of the most electrifying players in the game. And now, because he was at dinner, apparently he was with Frank the Tank too, having dinner, and seeing memes about it. Okay, the internet's fun sometimes. Having memes is sick and all. They're funny. At the end of the day, too, he's a human being, and it sucks. He had a game the next day. He's out at dinner, and all of a sudden, he just has a freak incident that it's now he's out for 8 weeks, and he can't play hockey, and has to have surgery on a cut. And people saying, oh, he had to have a surgery on a cut. He's a bitch. Get the fuck out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here. The rest of the Devils team they're gonna have to step up. Jesper Bratt has been really good. Dawson Mercer has 16 points in 18 games, and I will brag about this entire season. Me and Preston in the offseason, when we would talk about the Devils, were like, Dawson Mercer, this dude, he's gonna be really good for the Devils. There's a reason why they're keeping him. There's a reason why he is an important piece to this core. He has 16 points in those 18 games. Timo Meier, me and Preston have said we've wanted to see more out of him. And right now, we are seeing more out of him. Simone Nemec, who I got his contract extension wrong. I'm a fucking idiot for that. Whatever. 12 points in 18 games. 12 points in 18 games. He looks like the best defenseman right now. Genuinely. He looks better than Luke Hughes. He looks better than Dougie Hamilton, who plays 14 games so far. He's dealt with some injuries, per usual. Been better than Brendan Dillon, etc. I want to talk now, because I was going to talk about Simone Nemec's extension that apparently never happened. Talking about this core in general that's locked up, Timo Meier is the highest paid player at 8. Jack Hughes is at 8. Jesper Bratt, 7.875. Nico Hischier, 7.2. He's a UFA in a couple of seasons. This Devils team is one top 6 player away from being the favorite out of the East, in my opinion. And looking at the East, Boston has 24 points in 20 games. They're atop of the Atlantic Division right now with a 12-8 record. Outside of the Carolina Hurricanes, is there a team that is better than the New Jersey Devils when fully healthy? Genuinely? I don't think so. I really don't think so. I would take the Devils over the Bruins, the Canadiens, the Senators, the Penguins, who are winning right now against Nashville, the Islanders, the Rangers, the Panthers, the Maple Leafs, the Capitals, every team in the Eastern Conference. And yes, I said Panthers because I know they're dealing with injuries, but they have 19 points in 18 games. I know they can. It's so very long season. But right now, the Devils look really good. Against the West is a different story because the West is a fucking mess. I wouldn't take them against the Avalanche, Stars, or Jets, but I would take them against any team in the Pacific Division, including the Oilers. The Devils have a very strong roster, and props to Fitzgerald for putting this team together, putting the core together, being patient. If he went out at the deadline this season, and he went out and he acquired a top 6 scoring winger to put in the top 6 to replace Andre Palat and put Palat down on the third line, Dude. Maybe there won't be a team outside of Carolina. Well, I already said that. Maybe there won't be a team at all out of the East that can beat them when healthy. Now, this is what's going to happen with the Devils this season. Knock on wood. I'm praying. I hope it doesn't, because I've been on the Devils bandwagon for the last 2 to 3 years now. Not bandwagon. I'm not rooting for them actively being a fan, but I've been like a supporter of that. Not a supporter, but I've been a believer in them. That's the word. I'm a believer in this Devils team. The Devils are going to play really good when Jack Hughes is out right now, right? And then he's going to come back, and they're going to still be towards the top of the Metro. Excuse me, I'm like tired. And then they're going to get injury after injury after injury in April. And then they're going to be first round exits to, let's say, the fucking Florida Panthers to barely sneak in because Jack Hughes, Dougie Hamilton, Luke Hughes, Brendan Dillon, I don't know, other players get hurt. That's what happened last season. Now, I'm not saying the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm not saying the Devils beat the Hurricanes in the first round last season if Jack Hughes, if Luke Hughes, if Brendan Dillon are all healthy and other players. But I'm also saying the series is not a 4 to 5 game series. Carolina was the better team in that series because the Devils had injuries. Does that series go 7 games if both teams are fully healthy? Absolutely. Absolutely. They do. They are. That series does go 7 games. That's just my take on it. And the Devils, looking at Jacob Markstrom, he has to be better for them. I know he dealt with injuries so far early here in the season. He's 5-2-1 with a .367 and an .870 save percentage on the surface level. But his game logs, though, they're not even that good either, now that I think about it. Let's see when he returned from injury. He returned from injury on the 28th of October. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 games he's played since coming back from injury. He's 3-1-1. Pretty good record. But he has an .810 save percentage, a .977, an .842, an .875, and an .850 save percentage. The Devils are doing really good jobs at not allowing teams to get a ton of shots. The teams he played against, at Colorado, he lost. At LA, he won. 1 goals against on 44 shots against. Versus Montreal, 3 goals against on 19 shots. Versus the New York Islanders, 3 goals against on 24 shots. And at the Chicago Blackhawks a few nights ago, 3 goals against on 20 shots against. So, Markstrom needs to be better. Allen has been really good for them, though. 10 games played, he has a .224 goals against and a .916 save percentage. And what a contract they signed to him to this offseason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by $1.8 million for a backup goaltender. And he's 35 years old, too. They obviously also signed Markstrom to a 2x6 a few weeks ago. The Devils are doing great things over there in New Jersey. And I'm excited to see them fully healthy in the playoffs. And at the end of the day, if they stay healthy, this team is a top 2 team in the Eastern Conference. And I'll stand on that. I want you guys to give me teams that you guys think in a 7-game series when both teams are fully healthy, if the Devils can compete against any of them. That includes the Panthers and Hurricanes. Panthers are an interesting team against. I really think so. This episode is brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Hockey's back in the season. DraftKings is an official sports betting partner of the NHL. I use DraftKings to bet on any NHL game and player props, and you should too. From anytime goal scorer to picking an underdog, trying to win big, DraftKings has it all. And here's the best part. New customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get paid out $300 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet hits. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. That is 467-3669. In Connecticut, help is available for gambling problems. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas, fees may apply in Illinois. Must be the age of 21 years or older. Age and eligibility vary by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after assurance. See sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos for details. NFL Sunday ticket offer for new subscribers only. Auto renews until canceled. Digital games and commercial use excluded. Restrictions apply. Additional terms at youtube.com/pro/NFL Sunday ticket/terms. Limited time offer.
All right, quick timeout before we get back to the action. This episode is brought to you by W Energy. Listen, hockey's fast, and whether you're breaking down plays, yelling shoot from the couch, or just getting in a workout, you've got to stay sharp. That's where W comes in. Clean energy with zero sugar, no crash, no artificial flavors or dyes. Just 150 milligrams of caffeine per serving, about 2 cups of coffee's worth to keep you locked in and ready to go. Personally, I use W before the gym, on the ice, and even when prepping content for the pod. If you need that extra spark, whether you're grinding through work, lifting, or lacing up the skates, W's got you covered. Head over to w.gg and use code CFB Pod for 10% off your order. That's w.gg, code CFB Pod for 10% off your order. Fuel up, stay locked in, and let's get back to the episode. All right. The Buffalo Sabres. Let's get into them a little bit. I am intrigued with the Sabres. Very intrigued. Very, very intrigued. I cover the Sabres for the Hockey Writers. I also grew up a lifelong Sabres fan, as most of you regular viewers and listeners know. Here on the podcast, we are Sabres guys. They have not gotten off to the greatest start this season. They've dealt with injuries after injuries. They had to deal with Dahlin taking a leave of absence, which is by all means, that was necessary. Go do what you had to do with your fiance. Go support her. Go be with her in a tough time for them personally. Some things are bigger than hockey. That was one of them. He returned to the lineup last night in their great comeback win against the Detroit Red Wings. 5-4 overtime when they finally won a game that went to fucking overtime. Thank the Lord. Tage Thompson had a great game. Kesselring is in a walking boot after last night's game, so he's probably going to miss some time. Him and Power, though, together looked like a really freaking good duo. Good pair back there. Expected goals for percentage of both 84. Tage Thompson had one of 86%. Led the team last night. Tuch, Doan, McLeod, Byram, Dahlin, they all look good last night. Colton Ellis made big stops. He wasn't getting any help from his team in the first 40 minutes of the game. Well, sorry, first 40 minutes of the game. It was 4-1 going into the third. I'm so glad I did not turn the game off because they came back and won. This team, though, let's look at them as a whole picture, shall we? Gotta get my caffeine in, you feel me? So right now they sit with 6-8-4, 16 points in 18 games. They are 2-4-4 in their last 10 games. They won last night. They were 1-5-2 on the road. That has been their Achilles heel this season so far. Is they haven't been able to win on the road. Last night's game was their first road win of the season in 8 games. They sit 29th in the league standings. And this is where, huge morale win last night. Yesterday as a whole, right? Because Dahlin comes back to Buffalo. He's skating in Detroit. We were all waiting to see if maybe he was going to play against Detroit and maybe he was going to give it another day. Nope. He was with the morning skate. He was practicing as normal, and then he played that same day. He played 20 minutes time on ice or 25 minutes time on ice, something like that. He was good. I know it took him a little bit to get going there in the first period, but he ultimately looked like he was mentally there, right? It didn't look like the first few games of the season before he took his leave of absence where he just was mentally out of it, deservedly so. He was doing with his fiance, etc. Like that's fine. You know, everybody's kind of like, oh, he's not playing good because of that. And then a couple days later, he ends up taking a leave of absence, right? And I'm glad she's okay. I'm glad that he's back in a great state of mind and she's recovering great. So love that. The Sabres, this is where you're not out of it yet. They've kind of dug themselves in a little bit of a hole here. in the last, let's say, 10 games because they have 3 wins in their last 12 games. They have 2 wins in their last 10 games. 2 wins in their last 11, whatever, 2. You have the Toronto Maple Leafs who have lost 5 straight games. You have had the Capitals who are 2-6-2 in their last 10. The Panthers are kind of struggling right now. The New York Rangers are second in the Eastern Conference wildcard spot with 22 points. You're at 16 points. You are 6 points back. The Buffalo Sabres cannot sit here, and they cannot just continue to lose games. Obviously, that's Captain fucking obvious right there. But what they can do, though, and what they have a 4-game homestand coming up, and their 5 out of their next 6 games are at home, where they've actually been pretty good. Knock on wood. You play Edmonton, who their goaltending issues and their team defense issue is not so great. Obviously, you're facing Connor McDavid and Leandro Draisaitl, etc. Nugent Hopkins isn't going to be playing, even though they have Zach Hyman back now from IR, who ended up getting hurt last season, I believe in the playoffs, early in the playoffs. Then you face Calgary, Chicago, and then Carolina. You go out against those 3 Western Conference teams, and let's say you beat Edmonton, beat Calgary, beat Chicago in any way, shape, or form. You're on a 4-game winning streak. And all of a sudden, now you're looking at, by the 23rd, before you face Carolina, now you're looking at, let's say, another 3 wins. A 9-8-4 record. You add another 6 points. You're at 22 points. Maybe you're only 2 points back. Maybe you're only 4 points back. Whatever it may be. And now you're above 500. And now you're looking great. As long as they go 2-1, you're okay. This is the thing with Buffalo where by Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving is the 27th, you have 4 games before Thanksgiving now. Sorry, 5 games before Thanksgiving. You win 3 of those games, you're in great position going into the Devils game against on the 28th and the Wild on the 29th. You win less than 50% of those games, you're still not in a great spot. You're really back to square one, where you are right now. However, though, if you get points against any of those teams, because Carolina, you're not going to be competing for a wildcard spot. They're going to be a top dimensional. Just at least get 1 point out of that. Now, obviously, against the Western Conference teams, you want to get at least 1 point out of that. Now, you can't go out and lose 4 straight in overtime again. 4 points in 4 games is not going to cut it. I mean, it's better than 4 regulation losses. And against Pittsburgh, I think you do need to win. Get the full 2 points and win a regulation. Although it's super early. You never know with the Penguins. I think they are going to be top 3 in the Metro and 3rd spot in the Metro with how they're playing right now. But again, you never know. So, yeah, that's Buffalo. They haven't been playing good. They really haven't. And going to their injury situation, they are missing key guys. They're missing Zucker, who has missed the last little while due to a sickness that he just can't shake. You're missing Zach Benson, Yuri Kulik. You were missing Dahlin at one point. Now Kesselring goes down with the foot injury or ankle injury or whatever. He's in a walking boot. Now players that you aren't missing. The goaltending has been good for the Sabres. It's kind of regressed a little bit this season. They're in this little bad stretch of games. But Alex Line, 907 save percentage. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, shoot him to the fucking moon. He should probably be the 3rd goaltender right now because Colton Ellis played really good last night for the most part. Even though he has an 895 save percentage, a 336 goals against average, he's been better than Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Alex Line, I would still ride him. The team defense needs to be a little bit better. Tage Thompson finally showed up in last night's game. He had a goal and assist, 16 points in 18 games played. Talk had a really good game last night, 16 points in 18 games played, 7 goals, 9 assists. Josh Stone has been good, 12 points in 18 games. He had a couple points last night. The Sabres team is not as bad as what their record shows, and I will keep saying this. If they can stay healthy for fucking one goddamn game, this team can actually gain some fucking chemistry and be good. We've seen this team be good. We've seen them be able to score. We saw them for the entire 3rd period in overtime last night be able to score and make big saves and make big plays. This team has been able to make big plays. Dahlin's back. He looked good last night. Ryan McLeod looked fast last night. Jack Quinn with Noah Austin and Isaac Rosen have looked really good together. Those three played together in Rochester before Jack Quinn got called up. And then the last few seasons, Austin and Rosen have been in the AHL together, lighting it up. Rosen, one of the most prolific goal scorers and point producers in the entire American Hockey League the last 2 seasons. Austin dealt with injuries at the beginning of last season, and then he lit it up the second half of the AHL season last season. And guess what? You not only have those two guys, you also have Konsta Helenius coming up through the system in the AHL. They drafted in the first round, last draft in the 2024 NHL draft. I don't think the Sabres have any direction with the plan. Because I don't think they're as bad as the record shows, but they're also not rebuilding. But they're also aren't supposed to be a playoff team, I think. I think they're a playoff bubble team. Holy shit, I choked on water. I mean, at the end of the day, all you have to do is go out and get W's. And this team pisses me off. I love hockey to death. Obviously, if I create content and I write about them, it just makes me mad how sometimes this team can play so putrid, but then the same players the next night can play like the Colorado Avalanche have all season. You know what I mean? And it'll be against a good team too. And the Sabres seem to own the Red Wings. They ended up beating them earlier this season, and then they also beat them today. They're 2-0 against them this season. In the previous seasons, they seemed to kind of beat the Red Wings. The Red Wings went up 4-1. I'm like, we're going to get killed. The team did not look good. And one thing that has kind of stuck with me a little bit about the Sabres. I'm going over the schedule now. They ended up losing to Utah. They lost to Colorado 6-3 on Thursday night, which is not good at all. Granted, the Avalanche are beating everybody right now. They have one regulation loss in like 18 games played. Absurd start they're on. But they were down 2-0 early. They made it 2-1. They go down 3-1. And then they tied up 3-3 by halfway through the second period. And then they just fell apart. And then they ended up just losing 6-3. I think that Avalanche had an empty net goal or two. I didn't stay up for the entire game because I had to work early on Friday. And then the Utah game, you go up 2-0 against Utah. Andre Turgeon calls a timeout, and then you allow 5 unanswered goals. That's the encouraging sign that I have. This team they can't close out games, if that makes sense. They can't play for a full 60 minutes right now. Like, if they end up beating Utah, for example, you're in a much different spot right now. You are with 20 points and you're 2 points out. You're at 18 points and you're up there with the Maple Leafs and Capitals. I mean, you're still at the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. But you're 7-8-4 instead of 6-8-4. The thing that might come back to bite them is losing 4 straight in overtime. And then they lost 5 out of 6 in overtime. They ended up beating these Capitals in a shootout on the first. They ended up losing to Utah on the fourth, 2-1 in overtime. Again, like I said, big stretch of games coming up here for the Sabres. They need their guys to step up, especially with Kesselring, who's now going to be out for probably the next 3 to 4 weeks, if I'd had to guess. Guys like Bowen Byram, he's had a pretty decent season. Not the greatest, but he's been good. He needs to step up. Power needs to take a hold of this blue line and run with it. He hasn't had the greatest start analytically. He's a -8 right now in 17 games played. Defensively, he hasn't been good. Actually, I'm going to take a look at his evolving hockey real quick because this dude gets shit on for no reason. And every time I talk about Power, I get worked up because Sabres fans come out here and they just shit on him for absolutely no reason. This season, he hasn't been good. His even strength offense is fucking brutal. His even strength defense is kind of sitting around 0, which it is what it is. Last season, though, he was really good. Last season, he was above zero in everything. He was in 74th percentile in offense, 78th in defense, 83rd in overall. His only thing that was below zero was his power play offense, which was just barely below zero. Everything else was above zero, above 3, above 6. Owen Power will end up stepping in Kessel Ringer's role, not being as physical because he's never a physical defenseman. But at the end of the day, he will step in, and I promise you, Sabres fans, please stop saying to fucking trade him. That pisses me off so much. Do not trade a player like Owen Power. They signed him to an extension a few seasons ago, off seasons ago, whatever. Owen Power is a good defenseman. Sabres fan, he's just a scapegoat at this point. Same thing with Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. Sabres fans have a couple scapegoats. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen and Owen Power. Pissing me off. Hold every single player accountable. Tage Thompson even though he's producing offensively, his first probably month of the season, he hasn't been good. Outside of a couple games, he has not been good. He's much better at center though. Lindy Ruff, please leave him at center. Do not move him the wing. He is much better at center. Josh Stone's been a great player for us too. All right, that's enough on the Sabres. They have to end up winning the next 3 out of 4 games, I think, to get back into things. But still a long season ahead. Still about 60 games left. Anything can happen. Last but not least, let's hop into Stock Watch. Who's rising? Who's falling? It can be players, teams, GMs, coaches, anyone. And this week is from November 9th to November 16th. I mean, I guess technically the 15th. 8th to 15th because I'm recording here on Sunday morning. Rising, Jason Robertson, 4 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists, 10 points, a +7 for the Dallas Stars. Connor McDavid, 4 games played, 4 goals, 4 assists, 8 points, a +5. And Jesper Wallstead, 2 games played. He's 2-0, 0 goals against, and a 1,000 save percentage. 2 shutties, back-to-back shutties this week. The last time the Minnesota Wild goaltenders allowed a goal was over 200 minutes of game time. Insane set right there. Now, falling players. This could be a lot of players in the league, to be honest with you, but I try to pick players that should be producing but aren't. With that being said, falling, Trent Frederick, 4 games played, 0 goals, 0 assists, 0 points, a -3. Evan Rodriguez, Florida Panthers, 3 games played, 1 goal, 0 assists, 1 point, -1. And Toronto Maple Leafs, they have lost 5 straight, including this past week where they went 0-3-1. They need to be better. They need to be better at hockey. They really do. They have not been good at all. So that's going to end it for today's episode. If you guys enjoy all of our content, head over down to the description below. Check us out and follow us on all of our social media, as well as subscribe, notification bell. And if you guys are listening on Spotify and Apple, go ahead and follow the podcast for new episodes every single Sunday and Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And we'll see you guys in our next episode.